And we are live. Hallelujah. Welcome to the wonderful worlds of Troy Francis and Jack Napier. This is going out to both of our wonderful YouTube channels simultaneously, due to the wonders of modern technology. At least I hope it is, because I can't see anybody watching at the moment. So maybe it's going out to nobody. But there's a few people. Hang on. Say something, Jack. I've got some background.
Are you here?
Yeah. Sorry, I had some background noise. So people are trickling in to watch this show, and we're broadcasting this to both of our channels simultaneously to talk about how to approach and get a date this summer, which is obviously a very important issue for everybody. So, but the specific reason why we're coming on, and we don't want this to just be a complete, sales pitch, but we do have a new product out, which is called Approach to Date Toolkit, which is a set of audiobooks written by me and narrated by Jack Napier, which will tell you exactly how to, what it says on the tin, really, approach and get a date this summer.
Absolutely. And it will learn you how to text the girl properly as well after you get set number after you've approached.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll be talking about that, but in the meantime, just probably having a bit of a catch up and stuff, because we've not spoken for a couple of days, have we? Or a few? I can't remember. When we did a stream, I think it was that one where Tusk came on, wasn't it? That was a week or so ago. I've been doing a few more static videos rather than doing live streams. I don't know if you've seen. I've been doing some sort of like motivational style videos where I'm sitting around out and about and talking about an issue for like 10 to 15 minutes, which I quite like, actually. I quite like that format.
I can imagine. Yeah, I've been seeing your videos popping up. You really have been busy a lot, being outside a lot as well.
Well, I mean, the weather's been up and down, but it's been quite nice weather for the most part. And so it's good to get outside and be out and about a little bit. And I just want to experiment with different formats, because just doing live streams the whole time, I mean, yes, they're cool. Obviously, it's a lot of fun. The viewers can get involved and everything, which is great. And by the way, any questions, put them into the chat. Any comments, anything you want us to discuss, whack it in the chat. All of that's great. But, there is something to be said for just sitting down and recording a video and just putting it out there, about a particular thing. And sometimes those bite-sized videos, I think, can actually be very useful.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of like, that moment when you're, let's say, walking about and all of a sudden you have an idea, but you don't have a notepad or anything. And then you're like, I'll write it down when I get home. And then you get home, it's like, what was I thinking of? So when it comes to like the devices we have these days, it's extremely handy with those things. When you have a channel or a platform or whatever, you're kind of like, you know what? I want to share this right now. You go live, boom, it's on there. Plus the fact, because I got this question a while back, how do you start a YouTube channel? You start.
Yes.
You just start. The biggest hurdle you have to jump over, I don't know about you, but for me personally, was associates might see this and use this against me.
Yeah.
That was the only hurdle.
Yes, absolutely. So Ethan, by the way, says, sleep, forget that. European boys talking about dating and game is my top priority. Right, as it should be. I mean, if anybody out there has a priority higher than us talking about dating and game, then quite frankly, you need to rethink things. You probably need to just sit back, go back to the drawing board, take a look at your life, and just work out where things are going wrong. Because I can't think of anything more important to be talking about than dating in Europe at the moment, right?
No, not really. I mean, COVID is being lifted, the restrictions. You can travel again. And
a little bit. You're lucky in Europe. You see, in the UK, it's sort of been an ongoing. We're still in this sort of. It's an ongoing sort of thing. I mean, they've given us a few more destinations now, and there is a little bit of potential light at the end of the tunnel. But we're just really messing things up over here very badly.
I saw you can go to Ibiza again.
Yeah, well, that is good. It's good for me anyway, because I am a big fan of Ibiza. I've been many, many times in my degenerate youth, and it's a very nice place to go just to sort of like relax, go on the beach, great weather. I'm not sure quite what's happening with the clubs as yet. I think stuff's going to start to reopen. So yeah, that will be a lot of fun for sure. But what the British government has done is they've said there's a few places, Ibiza, Mallorca, the Balearic Islands, Malta, and some other places. But they've said, well, they're on the green list, which means it's okay to go. But they're on the green watch list, which means we might just reverse it at the last minute. And that's when you get, I don't know if you were aware, but they did this last time with the people in Portugal. And there was a bunch of British people in Portugal, and they said, right, you've got 24 hours to come back, or you're going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So you've got all these British people at the airport in Portugal trying to, I mean, it's just a bloody shambles. Whereas it seems like within Europe itself, within the EU, they've kind of opened up travel, haven't they?
Yeah, they kind of did. The bars and clubs are opening tomorrow as well. They are lifting the mask mandate tomorrow as well.
Is this in Netherlands though, specifically?
Yes, Netherlands specifically. So cool. if you're bored and want to pool again, clubs, everything is open here. The Marquise would be very satisfied to hear that, I guess. He can now go back to Amsterdam finally.
Well, you'd be surprised, actually. So we're talking about Marquis, what's he called? Whatever he calls himself. Ernst Graf. Ernst Graf on Twitter, who's a great writer and, seedy, degenerate motherfucker. Oh, shit, we've just demonetized the show, but never mind.
There goes the monetization.
But anyway, he is. But surprisingly, he's not a big fan of Amsterdam.
He isn't? I thought he was.
No. Berlin, Vienna. Where's his other ones? He's got 4 that he goes to. He calls them his 4 stations of the cross. It's Berlin, Vienna. Oh, Jesus. I can't even remember the other 2. But it's not Amsterdam, surprisingly. Which you would have thought. Yeah, you would have thought, wouldn't you? Nick Alexander says, do you take MDMA in Ibiza? Is it readily available there for overseas tourists? It's like this is an official question for the the Ibiza Tourist Board. Yes, MDMA is indeed available for all. So the answer to the first bit is no, I don't, because I don't take those kind of naughty things anymore. I did many years ago, but not now. So I don't personally. I can't say whether it's readily available or not. I mean, I would, if I was a betting man, I would say probably. But it's not something that I personally involve myself in, although I believe a lot of other naughty people do. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Jack.
No, not really. I mean, if this is an actual like tourist question, well, you might want to look to your right where you see
what you should do is go to Ibiza and then go up to a member of the Guardia Civil and just say, listen, where do I get my MDMA from? And see what they say.
Probably. And if you meet a couple of Dutch people there, they'll probably be carrying. Probably.
Indeed.
MDMA is a big thing here, especially the college circles, things like that. That it is a big thing.
Yeah, exactly. He said, just asking because I've never been to Ibiza and probably go if so. Well, look, I mean, you've got some of the biggest, best clubs in the world there. You've got a load of people who are partying until 7 a.m. and stuff. So I think it's fairly safe to say that all your needs will be accommodated. But like I say, we're just high on life on this show, aren't we, Jack?
I try to be.
Yeah, you're just high on life. I mean, there's no need for any additional substances. So what else is going on? Anything fun? I've done a couple of events with James Tusk. We did another boot camp in London last weekend, and we took some guys out, and it was really good, actually, particularly on the Saturday. I went out in the afternoon with a guy and we were going around Soho, which is the central area with all the little streets and stuff. One of my favorite places to go out. And it was great atmosphere, really, really good atmosphere. The weather wasn't great, but just loads of people out and about in the streets, eating, drinking, having fun. And this guy was smashing it. He was just walking up to all of these different girls, including one very attractive girl, actually, that he's got some traction with, apparently. And he showed me her Instagram, which was very revealing. He was just walking up, and it wasn't like game. Do you know what I mean? It was just really like socializing. It was just like walking up to people, having a conversation, and that's really how it should be. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't some weird like, oh, so what opener did you use, or so what line, what. Are you using mystery method? You know, it was just literally him going up and chatting to people and getting traction. Amazing, fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because those are the best approaches, where you're just being social, you're just being normal. It's two human beings having an interaction. That's just it. Like, assume familiarity, as you said.
Well, yes, and this particular guy, his style was he was very laid back, he was very calm, it was very social. And the atmosphere there, and this was later in the day as well. We were at 4:30 till 7 we were doing. It was great for that because it was very social. And it was just a lot of people sort of standing around, drinking, having fun. And I was saying to him, like, you've got to just imagine you're like at a party and you know the hosts and maybe a couple of people, so you don't know these specific women that you're going to talk to, but you kind of know other people here, and you're all basically in the same social group. And if you take it like that, then it's not such a big, like, oh my God, I'm going to do an approach now, I'm going to do some game. It's more just like you're rocking up and just having a conversation,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. To you, it's just socializing. Like, oh, you're here as well? Oh, well, that was your day then. Blah, blah, blah. You go from there. There's no level of awkward anxiety or whatever. It just flows naturally.
Yes, exactly. And areas like Soho, and there are other areas in London, and there will be in other cities around the world, are really good, where it's sort of, you've got a lot of bars, restaurants, few clubs, maybe whatever, together. And people are milling around outside as well. So particularly in the summer, this kind of way of doing things is really good. And it's the most natural way of doing things. It's not any weird, seedy, like, PUA kind of thing. It's just people going and socializing with other people, which is how it should be, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I 100% agree. Most guys, Ryan put it best, again, by the way, a while back. He's like, most guys take the red pill literally, not seriously, but you have to take it seriously, not literally. Same thing with game. Like, some guys would think like, oh, there's just pickup lines and that's how you do it. No. It's not the pickup lines per se that do it.
Yeah.
You're taking it too literally and not seriously, because they scoff at it and they think that's all mental tricks, but it isn't. It's what are you communicating, let's say, when you use a certain line. Don't look at the line, look at what it's saying. Know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But and in the end, you're not using lines. You're just going up and communicating with other people. And like Ian says here, the highest level of game is no game, which is very true. It's quite sort of Zen-like kind of way of putting it, isn't it? But it's true.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, are you grounded enough in yourself to let things flow, so to say? I was in The Hague this weekend. Great city. But normally when I, let's say, am out and about in my small little town, I don't get many looks because it's a bit, I know you, you know me, we all know each other. But I was there in The Hague, which is a far larger city, even the political capital of, what dare I say, the world, because we have that sort of world court in there. But the looks I got were way more than I would get here. Because it was a way bigger city. You're unfamiliar there. However, I'm pretty social as it is. So I just look at them, I say hi, I start a conversation like, hey, how's your day going, etc., etc. I don't think anymore about, oh, I need to say this now or that now. At a certain point, you just are that social.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point where you want to get.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the message that James Tusk is preaching now, and I'm on board with as well. It's not about this being some weird, creepy thing. This is just about socializing. This is about being your best self, going out there, talking to loads of people, getting those social skills, and having a great time with it, right? So we've got Black Pill in the house. Women's rights was a mistake. It's all about looks, money, status, and height to women. Simp pays and Chad lays. What do you think about that? That username. I mean, come on, man. Women's rights was a mistake. Seriously, come on.
Well, you know,
I mean, come on.
kind of. How do you phrase that?
Aye,
Kind of.
I want them barefoot and pregnant. Aye,
Yeah,
back in the kitchen.
like I would say it's. How do I phrase that? I get the argument. I'll be honest in that. I'll lean a bit towards your side, but it's all about looks, money, status. No, again, you're taking it literally, not seriously. Like, first of all, women are hypergamous. Yes, but in what circle can they be hypergamous? It is not okay. We have the global sexual market value, but that does not apply to every woman. Like, let's say, again, we talked about this before. Let's say you're 5'8". Why not move to a place where 5'8" is more in your advantage, let's say? Or, you know what? That doesn't mean 5'4" women in your area won't find you attractive. You don't always have to be 6 foot tall. Women sort of say, like, I want them 6 feet tall. Don't take it literally, but take it seriously, as in they want someone taller than they are. That's it. Doesn't always have to be specifically 6 foot or whatever. Money. Not every girl can catch a millionaire, you know. You know how many opportunities millionaires have? Girls know this. So not all of them, they'd like to, but they can't all go for that, sort of say. You have to be realistic about it. So putting it shortly, you don't have to outrun the bear. Just be faster than the guy next to you. But this is what black pillars do. They think they have to outrun the bear. Like, I have to be better than anyone else. No, you don't.
Well, it's like the Giga Chad thing, isn't it? You know, the
Russian guy.
the mythical sort of Giga Chad, you know, meme guy, and it's like, well, if you're not that guy, then you're getting nothing. And it's like, well, you know, I mean, the thing is, like, but I've been rated personally. I've been rated as what, a 5 by black pill guys, and I've had sex. So how does that work? You know, it's like, you know. Are
you sure you were inside? I mean,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's so small that it's kind of difficult for anyone to really tell. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know really how that argument really works. You know, and I mean, they all love John Anthony, and I mean, he's not good looking, is he?
Well, no, not really.
He's tall, but he hasn't got money, and he hasn't really got looks. And yet they all fawn over him, and they believe that he's banged, you know, however many women he's supposed to have banged. So how does that work? You know?
I really don't know, man. He's not my type. He's not my type.
Indeed. Anyway, we shouldn't be talking of this nonsense because it's of no help to anybody, really. So yeah, where are we up to? Nick says, do you think... All right, that's not that one. Nick says, do you think chicks are picking up on your vibe and energy more than what you're saying? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you're saying is less important than the energy that you bring to it and the vibe you bring to it. 100%. You know, you can talk absolute nonsense a lot of the time. I mean, you know, to be fair, it gets easier as the night goes on when people have had a few drinks and stuff like that, you know, but particularly if you're in a sort of party kind of atmosphere, you know, do you really think that these chads are talking about Nietzsche and, you know, the theory of relativity and the meaning of life to these girls that they're getting? Of course they're not. They're talking BS, you know? You don't have to be saying anything particularly impressive. It's about the vibe and it's about your, you know, your presentation and stuff. Of course, you know, as a nod to the black pill guy, yes, you need to try and look as good as you can. You know, you need to be well dressed. I mean, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? You know, do you want to go out looking like a bucket of excrement and try and get leverage with the opposite sex? Well, no, you'd have to be an idiot, right? So yes, of course, you've got to, you know, money, muscles, game, all that kind of stuff. Sure, but once you're out there, you know, you're presenting your best self. A lot of it is about the energy and it's about the vibe that you bring.
I think I can get away with excrement. I think I will wear that very well.
I wouldn't wear excrement. That's a pretty niche.
I know.
That's a pretty niche market, I think.
Very niche crowd. But
yeah, Berlin, I think. You know.
Oh yeah, that will be a good one. But
Yeah, yeah.
again, how do I phrase this nicely? Most philosophers are male, and there's a reason for that. Girls don't care about the meaning of life or whatever, or like what ethics are or what virtue is. That's something you talk about with your guy friends. Rich gets these comments as well. I'm looking for a girl who I can talk to. Well, tough luck, mate. Girls aren't wired like men. What you're looking for is a best friend, not a girl you want in your life. So
well, you say that, although I've got a friend who's
I know the exception is not the norm.
Well, I've got this Russian girl that I know, and she's been she's like been sending me Paul Joseph Watson videos and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, I'm not particularly a fan of his as such, but it's just that it's quite interesting her thinking and how aligned it is with quite a number of the guys actually who are who watch things like oh, I don't know, maybe people who watch Rule Zero and stuff like that,
No. I know what you mean. It is possible, but to me, it's not, let's say, the start.
The police coming. The police want to shut down the stream.
I think they do. We're talking wrong thing here. We shouldn't be doing that. But we're disrespectful of the women. But what I was saying is, my starting point is always, you know what? She's not going to be interested in politics or philosophy or whatever. This girl is here to have fun. She's looking for something exciting, whatever. And then later on, let's say as the conversation continues and you start to get know each other more, every now and then I'm pleasantly surprised when she's not a raging socialist. But
yes,
my default interpretation of girls is just think she's a art history socialist college major, and from there on you'll be fine. So
well,
again,
I mean, it's just you've got to keep it light in the initial phases, right? I mean, and even if you do end up talking about deeper topics as you go on, which yeah, sure, that happens. But at the beginning, you've got to keep it light, and this is a problem that a lot of guys have actually. Because I was out doing some training with another guy last weekend, or last week, and his challenge was slightly different because he was the archetypal, somewhat introverted, fairly serious computer guy, or somebody who worked in I think he worked in IT, which is always the classic, isn't it? Right. But he was that's that sort of guy where he's somewhat in his head. And he said to me, like, I don't like small talk. I don't like talking about shallow, superficial stuff. I like talking about life and what it all means and and things like this. And I said, well, good luck with that, mate. I said look, so do many of us, but you've got to dumb it down a little bit, and that's no detriment to women. It's just that if you're out socializing, people don't always want to get into that stuff immediately, and you've got to accept that. Yeah, so you've got to tailor it to your audience a bit, haven't you?
Well, exactly. I mean, why are people there? It's not like you're going to approach and immediately start quoting Nietzsche or Aristotle. Like, you look like a cool girl, but you seem too dumb to understand Nietzsche. So I'm approaching you to find out if you're smart enough. It's like, what? Really?
Yeah, I mean, Ian says, I don't know why guys are interested in having the same conversations with girls as with their male friends. Girls bring a light-hearted, playful energy, enjoy it, and don't drag it down, which is true. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, different conversations are appropriate for different circumstances. And yes, you might enjoy sitting around in the cigar lounge with your male friends and talking about what it all means and all the rest of it. That's not necessarily appropriate for when you first meet a girl and she's having a great time at the Vegas pool party, right?
Well, exactly. I mean,
or even the Cancun phone party.
Yeah, I know. Shots, everybody. What was I about to say? I wanted to say something. Oh, yeah. Like every now and then it happens. You go to a girl and you see a book in her bookcase that is, let's say, Orwell or Nietzsche or Aristotle or whatever. I have seen that. And then you actually have a hook point on it. But it's not something you should diverge to right away. And by the way, Nick Alexander mentions in the chat, hopefully these guys will explain Pook for you. Like,
Mm.
what do you mean explain Pook? Like, I know Pook, don't get me wrong. I absolutely know who he is in the book of Pook, but what do you want us to explain? Like how great he is? He is.
Well, maybe he means go through, Pook. But, well, I mean, it's not really the show for that anyway, to be honest.
No,
I mean,
no.
maybe another time. But
I've narrated a couple of chapters from the Book of Pook. I love how theatrical he is in his writing. Really allows the narrator to play with it more.
Yes, I know that you'd done that. Yes. So where were we?
We were talking about, let's say you meet a girl and you start off very seriously talking about the meaning of life and Nietzsche.
Yeah, I mean, and I've made this mistake actually sometimes because I used to, obviously I kind of enjoy talking about those topics or thinking about those topics. And in the past, I believed that it would give me some standout. So I'd be in the club and then you get talking to the girl and then you bring that, that stuff into it. You're like, oh, but what about Nietzsche or something? And or Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, for example. And it's never really done me any favors, to be honest. It's just like, because in most cases the girls just, and even if she's into it, even if she sort of plays along, like they want to have fun, right? It's the old cliche, girls just want to have fun, right? Particularly in those sorts of environments. So my overwhelming recommendation is just not to get into that stuff until later on in your relationship or whatever. I mean, if you after you guys have made sweet love and you're laying in bed together, or after the third time or something, you might want to go a little bit deeper with that kind of stuff. Fine, but in the early stages, I think keeping it fun is the best policy, really.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, after you've fornicated, so to say. But
yes,
that's
I always get that existential, moment of what's it all for after post-coitally anyway. So
why am I doing this? Why? What is the meaning of this? No, but what I was trying to say with that whole guys don't want a girlfriend, they want a new mate, so to say, is that your partner is not your best friend, so to say. Your girl is completely different. You're on completely different wavelengths. And you need to recognize it for what it is. Now, are there girls with a high IQ and are very intelligent and are into philosophy? And
well, not according to women should never have been given rights. They're not. No.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, there are. Are they rare? Yes, maybe not. But
Corinne.
It's like you just default to she isn't interested in that, because then you'll be better off than when you go from the point where she would be interested in that, because later on you can be pleasantly surprised and talk about those things. But like you and I said, default to she wants to have fun. She's here to get excitement and just be that guy who knows what he's doing.
But even if she is interested in those things, and she I dated a girl who was doing a PhD, for example, very intelligent woman. So yes, I mean, of course, those women are out there, and you will, meet them in social situations sometimes. But in most cases, they will still want to go with the player Chad who's having fun. Right? They're still drawn, because I've seen it myself. Sometimes you'll meet a girl and you'll think, oh, she's a high quality woman. She's a cut above the rest. She's obviously read Proust and she's, and all this kind of stuff. And the chode thinks, oh, so I can play on that to my advantage because I can talk to her about Dickens and the novels of Jane Austen or whatever it is, and she's going to be impressed by that. But what tends to happen is then some chode starts doing some stupid, BS over the other side of the room, and she's just like, oh my God, look at him, right? So, because, again, it's that thing, we want to have fun, right? We don't necessarily want to, particularly in social situations, we don't necessarily want to go, right, okay, let's get into some serious stuff now. It's just not fun, right?
It's called escapism for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, are you the escapism from the daily boring life? That's why I'm not very good at it yet, because it's so easily to default to that. But try not to talk about work in the first conversation, because that's the last thing she wants to think about. Like work, like negative emotions are being correlated with your presence. You don't want that.
Especially my work. I mean, Jesus, you don't want to talk about that.
Oh no, horrible! I've narrated what you do for a living. By God, man, Torture Kittens sounds horrible.
Well, it's not called that. Oh no, it is called that. They did do Torture Kittens, didn't they? They did the thing with the two parties together.
Oh yeah,
because it's Torture Garden and Killing Kittens, but they did the thing together. That was a very classy evening, actually. It was they held that in a a large townhouse in central London. Very, very expensive place. It's owned by this eccentric multimillionaire dude who puts on sex parties there the whole time. And so the Torture Kittens events were held there. And it's a cool place, but everyone was very dressed up. It was all guys like bankers and things wearing suits, and the girls were wearing, sometimes lingerie, sometimes dresses, but it was a slightly more classy affair than some of the more dingy things that I've described in those books.
Oh yeah, but it did sound like fun though. It sounded like fun. I was like, maybe I need to.
I mean, those things are always fun. I mean, I saw somebody on a blog going out like, slagging me off, and it's like, oh, Troy Francis does it. Swingers are all full of ugly old women. Note to Troy Francis or something like this. And I was like, well, mate, I mean, it's certainly not in London. I'm not saying I mean, yes, there is a large contingent of people who are into swinging and these sex parties and things like this. Certainly, yes, there are the middle-aged couples who throwing the car keys in the bowl and they're all pretty hideous. Yes, that exists without a doubt. But in London and other big cities, including New York and Berlin and Moscow and other places like that, there are also parties that are aimed at a younger, hipper crowd, and they are absolutely teeming with incredibly gorgeous women wearing very, very little and up for having a good time. And I know about that because I've been to these things. You don't know about it because you're, in your mum's basement growing tomatoes. And, and that's what I'm talking about. Now, yes, in my second book that you've narrated, which will be launching fairly soon, there are also some descriptions of some of the more dingy sides of this as well. But that's more for a laugh rather than as an opportunity to date. But, I mean, I went to a party. It was actually because a friend of mine was starting to make a documentary about the scene, and I went to a party right next to the Ritz Hotel in Mayfair a few years ago. It was like literally you got the Ritz Hotel here, and you got all the posh guests going in and everything, and there's some buildings on the other side, some flats, apartments, and go upstairs into this apartment, and there was a party in there with all of these like rich people basically banging each other, and there were some very, very attractive women there, and actually some very high value guys as well, because the guys who goes to these things tend to be pretty high value as well.
I mean, the thing is, you don't just go to a party like that, and you won't, as you mentioned in the book, it's not a free for all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I mean, people like to say it's a free for all. No, those are all freaks and weirdos. Yeah. I mean, stop making your necessity a virtue. Because that's what a lot of people do, especially in this sphere. Well, let's disregard everything these people say, so at least they'll be wrong. And how much experience do those guys actually have? Now, in all honesty, I have no experience in the whole Torture Garden, Killing Kittens swinger scene. None at all. I'm narrating your books. It seems like pretty much fun. But to disregard all that immediately without even ever knowing it is just easy. Like, all the girls Troy's had were just ugly hags in swinger scene. Okay, even if, like, what would that help you to get your sex life in order? Because most guys who criticize those things don't have a very compelling sex life, so to say, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, or any sex life at all. So, So yeah, I don't quite know how we came on to this particular topic, but
yeah, I kind of like it.
But it's there's a couple of things. I mean, and by the way, I haven't been to any of these kind of parties for ages now, largely because of COVID, obviously, because COVID's kind of been terrible for the international sex party scene. And obviously it remains to be seen what happens with that. And also as well, I mean, mate, you go through phases of these things. I was kind of into it back in 2017 to 2018, quite I was doing a lot, and years before that. Maybe I'm less bothered about it now. But there's a couple of things. It's not a free-for-all. And actually, you really see the sexual marketplace in its rawest form in those environments. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to write about it and create content about it. It's not just to say, oh, this is a great place if you want to go and, meet women, because it's not going to be for everyone. And I accept that. But there are certainly lessons that can be learned. And actually, I guess it's a kind of a throwing a bone to the black pill guys. But, you do go to those places and you will see that women, for short-term mating opportunities, yes, they, who do they choose? Well, they do, the good-looking guys, the tall guys, the guys who are jacked. Yes, those guys are getting a lot of the action, and that's a reality. But what is, so what is the prognosis from that? Is it impossible then for anybody else? Well, no, because I've actually done very well at those things. I've had some, crazy experiences at those parties. And I wouldn't class myself as being in that tier of guys. But if you know a bit of game and you approach and you're savvy with this stuff, then you can still have a good time yourself. And that I think is the important thing. It's not being better than GigaChad, because you're not going to be better than GigaChad. But it's more like, can I also coexist with GigaChad and also have a good time? And that is eminently possible. Yes. If you've got your shit together.
That is true. But there's always one thing that bothers me about that whole maxim where it's like, oh, the jacked guys are blah, blah, blah. Well, to be honest, being jacked is a choice. You're not born jacked. I wasn't born. Okay, maybe. But I wasn't born being able to squat over 225 pounds and deadlift 315 and things like that. I had to put work in.
Yes, that is true. That is very, very true.
I mean, I hear a lot of these guys always saying, "Oh, you have to be jacked." Then go do it. It's not that hard. It takes time. I'll tell you seriously. I'll be honest with that. It takes time. But what the hell is stopping you?
Yeah. Completely. I mean,
do it.
Yeah. Completely. I mean, there are certain things that are somewhat outside of our control, right? I mean, height is one of them. Although even then, Tusk has told me about this guy that he's friends with who basically had some procedure where he got his legs broken, and he was 5'9" before, and now he's about 6'3". So there's that. I guess you can also wear shoes that give you a little bit of an edge. But so there's height. Okay, there is the way that your face is shaped. That is, one thing that you are largely stuck with. Although, of course, the looks maxers will tell us, there are things you can do about that as well. But things, I mean, fitness, style, grooming, completely within your control. Even arguably, even money, because they say, oh, well, you need money. Well, okay, we'll go and fucking make money then. That is money and success. Well, we've all got the same tools here, right? We've all got access to, in the content creation world, you'd say we all press the same publish button, right? We've all got the opportunity. People will slag off, I don't know, somebody say a big content creator. He's just selling courses. He's making all this money, blah, blah, blah. Well, you could do that as well.
Yeah.
It's a free market. Instead of slagging him off, why not be inspired and go, do you know what? I can do this, but I can do this better. And I can provide more value. Well, why not do that?
I was talking to Rich Cooper a while about this, and I told him, I said to him, for a space full of men who have, let's say, a bit of a they hate the left and they say they hate communism, they tend to be very communistic.
Yeah.
They tend to lean very much towards socialism, where it's like, oh, other people have it better than I, and it's not fair. Well,
yeah. Or he's charging for this. How dare he?
Smells like communism to me, mate. It's like,
because they want people to work without charging for it. So they're anti-capitalist, and also they want to limit the free market in terms of dating. Because wouldn't it be better if, if every guy was allocated with one woman, right? Which is, again, is a communist structure, isn't it?
Well,
it's like regulate the market.
Yeah. And I talked to Rob about this last weekend. And I was very honest to him, as I tend to do on Red Evening. The last 3 weeks have been absolutely abysmal when it comes to dating. Absolutely. I mean, Tinder's been horrible. Bumble's been horrible. You name it. It's all been bad. However, when I look, let's say not at the past 3 weeks, but when I look at the past year, I have nothing to complain about. But in those 3 weeks, so to say, you kind of get confronted with the fact, yeah, you may have had an easy streak for a couple of months, but that doesn't mean you're off the hook. It's still bad out there. And you have to put in the work. And I told Rob, I wouldn't have it any other way. I can do two things now. Either I will tell myself that, you know what, the dating market's skewed and all these girls are hyperinflated with attention and sixes think they're tens and blah, 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 blah. Or I can take my own personal responsibility and keep asking myself, how can I improve? Because as soon as I stop asking that, everything that's happening to me is out of my control.
Yes.
And I really resent that, where it's like, oh, it's not my fault. Yes. Until proven otherwise, it is your fault. So take responsibility and get to bloody work.
Have you, he says, Sarcastic says, I like pickles. Good to hear. I like pickles as well. You read... So I've been banging on about this all week, but have you read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins?
No. Did I? I don't know. Did I? No, I didn't. A friend of mine did, and I did watch a lot of David Goggins content. I like him. He's a bit... People tend to get lost in the motivational thing too much. So I wouldn't say I don't like him. It's more like don't watch it too much and actually take action.
Well... The book, I have to say, I'm listening to the audiobook and I really, really enjoying the audiobook. And I didn't really know that if I would beforehand. I do like a lot of self-development stuff, but I wasn't sure. I mean, this is basically, Tusk recommended this. And this is basically, this guy was a Navy SEAL. Well, he had a horrific childhood, terrible, terrible childhood. Terrible family, things with his family and horrible experiences with his father and all this. Then he went on to become a Navy SEAL, and he trained to become. And he was a black guy, and there were not so many black people, guys going into becoming Navy SEAls at that time, and and plus as well, it turns out later he actually had a hole in his heart as well, which he didn't even know about. But anyway, he trains to be a Navy SEAL. They've got this horrendously challenging, process that you've got to go through to become one. He ends up having to do it about 3 times because of various things, and then he gets into ultra marathon running and stuff like that. And it's basically, it is very inspiring. And it's basically the central message seems to be, firstly, you've got to take responsibility for everything, and secondly, you basically, how can I put this? Take responsibility for yourself, and you can endure a lot more than you think you can endure. He's got this concept about the 40%, and it's because he's like done marathons with 2 broken legs. I mean, ridiculous stuff. But what he says is, you can endure. You think when you're at the top of what you're doing, you think, oh man, I'm so tired. I put everything into this. He says, no, you're only at 40%. Actually, you could push through a lot further. And that's physically, mentally, whatever, right?
Yeah. What was it that mentally the body will quit? Sorry. You will quit sooner mentally than you are physically capable of.
Yeah.
So to use that, let's say in a fitness analogy, because that's easier. Let's say you're doing 10 reps at squat And mentally, you're like, oh, this is so hard. In theory, you'd still physically be able to do more reps.
Yeah.
And when you're aware of that, you'll actually be able to do it. But a lot of people don't get to that point. They think it's like, oh, this is so heavy, never mind. But when you're aware of that, you push through that mental weakness, quote unquote.
Yeah. Well, he says, yeah, I mean, there's so much in this book, and I've listened to the audiobook. I'll probably buy the Kindle or the print version so I can sort of, pull out, because there's so many quotable things, really interesting stuff. But he basically says, it's all mind games. Life is just a series of mind games. You're battling, you're battling against yourself. You're battling against the limitations that are created by your own mind all the time. And, and when you listen to this and what this guy did, and then you think about these guys, the black pill guys, or even guys who are not black pill, but are saying, oh, yeah, socializing is a bit difficult because it's a bit uncomfortable. It's a bit draining to go and socialize with people because I'm an introvert. You just think we all just need to man the hell up. Do you know what I mean? We've all just got to man the hell. I mean, if going out and talking to a bunch of girls and you find that a bit tiring because you're an introvert, well, I'm a bloody introvert. I mean, I've just absolutely burned clubs to the ground in the past. Nice. Not literally. I'm not talking about.
No, but I like the way you phrased that, where it's like,
yeah, because you don't get, nothing comes easy, nothing worthwhile comes easy, right? So we've all got to just bloody man up, right, and just take responsibility, realize that we can do a lot more than we think, and just go and smash it.
But the thing is, because I've got a couple of associates who, well, they haven't got the best dating life. They just haven't. And I have a couple of associates who are married and things like that. And I look at that and I think to myself, if you had just pushed a little bit more, if you had just said to yourself, you know what, I am not satisfied with where I am now, you would have been in a way better place. Now, in all honesty, what I'm doing right now on the internet and the narrating and things like that, it might burn to the ground tomorrow. It might fail. It really might. But at least I did it. At least I tried. At least I won't be sitting on a couch somewhere staring at Netflix thinking to myself, oh, you know what? I wish I had given it a try. No. I want to be the guy who said, I failed, rather than, well, I never know.
Yes, exactly. So all of that being said, we should probably turn our attention to talking about the product, shouldn't we? Really, which
we kind of should have maybe perhaps
just mention it, just chuck it in there, somewhere.
Because before we begin, I am proud of it, and I just want to say, Troy, I'm very thankful that you trusted me in doing this with you. I'm very
not thankful. Not at all. Well, you have a very beautiful voice for narration, and yeah, it's good to finally get something out there in audio format. So what this is we've called this Approach to Date Toolkit, but basically it's a collection of 2 audiobooks based on the books that I've written, which are called Approach Her Like Chad and then Text Game Mastery. And so we've done this as a bundle. It's on Gumroad. Go over to, we put out the links and go over there, just obviously click to purchase, and then you'll get instant access to the audio versions of both of those books. But the reason that we put them together, and we've done this as a little bundle, is because this really is a toolkit to get you up out of your chair, out there, going and approaching women that you find attractive, and then getting their contact details, and then being able to text them or to message them on WhatsApp, whatever it is, and get them out on a date. So this really is, okay, so you start here, I'm a bit nervous about approaching, and it takes you through that, and then it takes you through to actually getting them out on a date as well.
I love you too, Moth. Jack has a face for narration, he says.
So that's kind of what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, the beauty about this product is, well, first of all, people have been, not quote-unquote nagging, have been asking you for an audio version of your books.
Yes.
We have now done that. I am very proud of these narrations. I really am. And the beauty about it is when you're out and about, you can actually listen to this. Let's say you think to yourself, you know what? Tinder isn't doing it for me. I want to approach more, yada, yada, yada. The first thing you need to do is get outside.
Yes.
Now, if you don't know where to begin, you can at least listen to this while you're on your way, when you're on the tube, when you're on the bus, when you're on your bicycle, when you're walking, hiking, you name it. You don't have to carry a book or whatever, or your Kobo e-reader. Just plug your earbuds in and listen away.
Yes, absolutely. And the reason that I think this is so good to get this into audio format, and actually, because we have worked on something before, haven't we? We've actually worked on the audio book that went with my course, Dating Conversation Success, and you narrated that as well, and that's in that course that guys were able to. That obviously the PDF version was in there, but the narrated audio version was in there as well. And the reason that I was keen to do that, and the reason that I'm keen to do this, is because it's almost like you could almost use it like a meditation tool, or you could almost use it to reprogram your mind, if that's a better way of putting it, in the sense that, yes, you could read this in a book format, great. But the great thing about the audio format is, like you say, you can listen to it when you're in the gym, you can listen to it when you're going for a run, when you're cleaning the car, whatever it is you're doing, you can listen to this and just listen to it over and over, and it's going to go into your subconscious mind. And this is really helping, particularly with certainly approach I like Chad, which is really a book about the mindset. It's like, okay, so how do I become that natural guy who just goes and starts conversations with these women and like completely naturally? And to get there, for many of us, we're talking about a transformation, really, aren't we? We're talking about transforming the unconscious mind, and the best way, in my view, to do that is to listen to it on audio.
Well, I tend to agree with you wholeheartedly, because evolutionary human beings have been shown to easily process things they listen to better than reading. As in, humankind has listened longer than it has read.
True. Yes, because we were all sitting around the campfire before, weren't we?
Well, we kind of were approaching Stacy and things like that.
Yeah, and then there was the oral tradition of stories being passed down generation after generation, and so on and so forth. So yeah, absolutely. And there's just something about listening. It just goes directly in, doesn't it? So I really do think with this stuff, particularly if you're somebody out there and you're thinking, well, okay, the lockdowns are easing, it's travel's back on to some extent, it's the great summer of love, and I want to get out there and I want to, talk to some women that I find attractive. And this, by the way, this isn't just necessarily about day game. This could be in the nighttime, at bars, at parties, clubs, at the swimming, at the spa in Budapest or whatever, right? I mean, it's wherever you are. This stuff is relevant.
What I liked about Approacher Like Chat so much is that it's not per se about the approaching, but it's the mindset associated with it.
Yes.
Like what you taught in the book was not just thinking like this when you're approaching, but having this mindset the majority of the time, if not always. Like, you have this mindset not because you approach, but you approach because you have this mindset.
Yeah, exactly. It is very much, and many of us, we suffer from this, don't we? And even if you are somebody who's been out and about approaching and socializing for a long time, given that we've just been through all of these lockdowns and all of this nonsense, a lot of people have got rusty. A lot of people, I mean, I have friends who are sort of, oh God, I haven't really been out for ages, and now we've got to go out again and socialize with people. And it's put people back a little bit. So the good thing about this, and by the way, this bundle, it's only $39. So this isn't a hugely expensive investment. This isn't a big course where it's hundreds of dollars. This is just $39 to get these audio files. Really, this is going to help pep you up and help get you into that social mode. so that you're like, right, damn, yeah, I feel good. I feel pumped up. I feel ready to go out there and approach, and girls that I'm actually attracted to, not just I'll approach her because I feel like it's, maybe she's going to be more favorable to me. So like girls you're actually attracted to, going and approaching them, getting their contact details, which is the way that this normally goes. I mean, yes, you can have a one-night stand, whatever, but putting that to one side, normally you're going to be getting the contact details. Okay, so then what do? You've got her phone number, right? You need to start messaging her. And then we go into text game mastery, which explains step by step exactly how to do that in the most effective manner possible.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, that's where most guys fail. The approach in and of itself. And after that, they're like, okay, I got the number. Now what?
Yeah.
Well, and that's what we took care of in this program. Or you and I narrated that.
Exactly. You narrated. I sat behind the keyboard and banged it out.
You sat behind the keyboard and called Rolo a douche.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're all keyboard warriors in the end,
Well, absolutely. So it's a great package, as she said to me, and it's available now. It's called Approach to Date Toolkit, and yeah, it really just as I say, 2 books, 2 audio books, narrated by Mr. Napier, only $39, and you can have those playing in your earbuds, instant access when you hit the links that we've been putting into the chat. And yeah, I think it really is. I would be very, very keen to have something like this. If I'd have had something like this when I was, 21, it would have really, really made a big difference to my dating life, because I think it covers 2 very important bases, like you say, which are, okay, so how do I get the balls together to go and do the approach in the first place, and do it in, because we've all been in high school or whatever, and you see that dude and he's like the natural, he's the alpha, he's the Chad, as people call it now, and he's just going in and doing this stuff like it's no big deal, like it's easy, like it's natural. Okay, and we might be sitting there going, well, how does that guy do that, and could I ever do that? I'm not that sort of guy. And you don't even think it's possible that you could become that sort of guy. But actually what Approach Her Like Chad does is it shows you how you can become that guy, right? And then text game mastery solves the other problem, which is, like you say, is a big deal, which is, okay, so I've got the digits, now what? Because the whole purpose of getting the digits is so that you can go on a date, all right? And this shows you how to do that as well.
Well, exactly. We took care of it. Like, what are the major issues guys face? We address them. And like you said, it's not about that mindset during approaching. It is getting the mindset that makes you approach overall in general. Like, Chad isn't just Chad when he talks to girls. He's always Chad.
Exactly.
Like, Chad is everywhere. He is infinite.
Exactly. He's the alpha and he's the alpha literally, and he's the omega.
But that's the whole thing. Like, a lot of guys don't address inner game. Like, it's all nice and dandy that you learn to approach, but if you still think of yourself as, let's say, that weak little worm after you've approached, then you're not going to maintain the chick, because she's going to find out. You need to have that inner game fixed as well.
You do. And inner game would get a bit of a bad rap, because people would say, oh, it's all mental masturbation, and you just need to learn these 6 steps and go and approach her, and then that's it. And yes, you do need to be putting in the practical work, but for me, I think inner game is such a huge part of all of this stuff, right? Because it's how you think about yourself, and that reflects out of everything you do. So if you're going around and you're saying some lines that you learned from the internet, but you feel like you're a douchebag, then of course your results are going to be bad. So you need to get the inner game stuff sorted out 100%. And that's where Approach Her Like Chad really comes in. So Jim says, I've got bad social anxiety. Whenever I approach, I find it hard to smile and I sweat a lot. Do you have any tips? I guess I just need to keep going. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Deodorant is one. And second of all, think to yourself, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
No. Oh no, she doesn't like me. Second of all, if you really have that social anxiety, why are you immediately trying to approach her and get the conversation? Have you tried just maintaining eye contact with someone and say hi, good morning, good afternoon? Start slow. Don't push yourself immediately. Start slow. People at the grocery store. Well, good morning. Well, good morning, Pat. Blah, 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 blah. Things like that. Well, seems like a busy day, doesn't it? Well, yes, it does. Seeing someone with a cart full of groceries, you name it. Or got a party going when there's like 3 stacks of beer or whatever. Start small. Because if you have real bad social anxiety and you're starting off wanting a conversation with a hot girl right away, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So it's okay to start small. I mean, it's the best way to start because at least you're doing something and you're acknowledging that, yes, this is hard for you. So be glad you're at least starting out with something like that. You're learning, you're adapting, and eventually you're evolving.
Yes, exactly. So that is absolutely correct. You know, you need to be starting slow and building up. You know, you don't have to go for the gold medal the first time you run the race, right? You know, you can start at a certain point and build up. But the other side of the equation is, as you say, you know, to just keep going. And the more desensitized you get to this stuff, the easier it will become. I mean, as I've said many times, you know, I started from a position of not even being able to hold eye contact with people, let alone go and have a conversation, let alone have a conversation with a girl that I found attractive. Now, today, things are very different for me. Well, how did I get there? Well, there's a number, lots of different reasons, but fundamentally, the main reason is I just threw myself into a shed load of very, for me, uncomfortable social situations until in the end, you just care less. You know, and again, this links in with the David Goggins thing, because his view would be, well, okay, if I'm going to run a 50-mile ultra marathon, then I'm going to practice running 100 miles. But I'm going to go further than I need to go in order to achieve a goal that's quite difficult for me. But I'm going to practice by go. And you know, he would say, right, I've got to run in the severe heat. So I'm going to go out running wearing a coat and like a hat and gloves in the blazing hot sunshine. I'm going to actually practice, make the conditions worse for myself so that when I actually go to do the thing itself, it feels easier. Now, again, don't do that right from the beginning, but the same principle applies in the sense that, you know, as you build up, you're starting to put yourself into more and more, situations that perhaps you find a bit challenging, and that's going to make the easier situations that much easier, because you know you do sometimes get opportunities that are just land in your lap, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you've practiced doing things that are more challenging, then those are just going to be like a piece of cake.
Exactly. You need to learn. You need to build it up, so that, let's say, the smaller steps become natural to you.
Yes.
Like, you're a white belt. You cannot beat Conor McGregor right away. Let's see.
Exactly. Goddamn Bacon saying, why can't I see
he's in my chat.
Oh, is that why? Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, this is the link for the audiobook. So go to that link and you'll be able to have a look at the products and then download the audiobooks there. Well, that being said, we've been on for about an hour now, so I think we've more or less covered it. But it's been a really interesting chat, actually, because we got into quite a few different directions, which is good.
Well, that's always nice talking to you, because it's never really focused on one thing. It flows generally, and as I said before, I just like talking to you, and those things just go when you have a show.
We always have a good time. It's good to chat about this stuff. And like I said, I've been doing sort of shorter static videos most of this week, so it's good to get on a live again and just shoot the breeze, you know, with a like-minded gentleman. And the other thing is as well, we won't talk about it now, but we've got other projects ongoing as well with the audio stuff. So watch this space for that. But for the moment, Approach to Date Toolkit is out now. Spamming the links in the chat. So do jump on board with that.
Oh, God damn it. There's always something going wrong, like I said.
It's just part of the vibe, you know? I mean, it's like we are, you know, this is raw and real, you know? We're not in a huge studio somewhere, you know? This is keeping it real.
Well, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. We are
Mm.
accessible, as they say.
Exactly. We're all on this journey together.
There. Now I've spammed my chat enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that's it for now then. Unless, have you got any final thoughts, Jack, or any thing you want to add?
I'm just very proud of this. I'm very happy it's being launched right now. I had a great time doing it. It's ironic that I, as a Dutch person, am now narrating in English, and yet people seem to love it, and I love doing it. So it's a double win for everybody.
Carl says, what's in the Text Game Mastery in that toolkit? Well, Text Game Mastery is a book that I wrote a while back, and it's basically a step-by-step guide to what you do once you get a woman's phone number. Okay, so how do you text her? What messages do you send? What is the purpose of messaging? Are there differences? And by the way, it goes into different platforms. So yes, texting, we SMS, but I mean, most people nowadays, well, certainly over here, most people use WhatsApp. So it's relevant for whatever messaging platform you're using, but including things like Tinder as well. We do go into Tinder in there. We talk about that. Obviously, these same principles you can use on Facebook Messenger or Instagram DMs or whatever it is, right? But it gives you an A to Z, right? This is what you do. You've got a number. Okay, now what? Well, this is what it just tells you how to convert that number from a phone number into a date.
I really like the Tinder part on the Text Game Mastery Toolkit, especially how you addressed that Tinder has been a bit flooded with people who tend to use the app for other things than dating, and how to deal with that and how to differentiate yourself from even being selected by those people.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spoil too much. Get the audiobooks.
Exactly. And I think the goddamn Bacon is asking about your channel. So
no, yours. He is from my channel.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay. Well, have I got the link for my channel? I suppose I have.
I put it in the chat already. I'll put it in your chat as well, because I can do that.
Yeah, here we go. Good stuff. Okay. All right. Well, so subscribe to my channel as well. That'd be awesome. It'd be great to have you, sir. Okay. Well, that is it for now. So do grab that audiobook or those 2 audiobooks. Great value in that bundle, Approach to Date Toolkit. And yeah, I guess we'll speak to you guys again very soon. There's a Rule 0 tomorrow. I think it's on Rich Cooper's channel. So be looking forward to that. And have a great weekend, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.